Hello and welcome to another live stream of Dragon Plus, where we discuss more of the content heading into each issue of Dragon Plus, our free online magazine, as well as take a visual look at the design, the development, and the running of your D&D game content. Today with me we have two special guests, one live and one remote. In Studio Right, we have the return of my best friend. For those of you who watched last week's Dungeons and Doodles episode, Richard Whitters.
Hello. Good to be here.
And talking remotely, we have cartoonist and artist extraordinaire Jason Thompson.
Woohoo! I'm so happy to be here.
Jason, you're Skyping in from San Francisco. Is that correct these days?
Yes, no longer in Seattle. We live in San Francisco now. And so it's just me and my little dog and a bunch of art stuff.
Sweet. That's my exact setup.
Yeah, that's right. Wilson, right?
Winston. Yeah.
Wilson's is American pencil.
It's not real.
So,
it's a soccer ball.
So for everyone watching the Dragon Plus live stream today, again, we never like to do the same thing twice, apparently. So this is our first episode where we've got a Skype caller. So appreciate the patience as we got everything set up and ready to go. Appreciation to Jason for taking the time out of his schedule to Skype in.
Oh, man, I wouldn't miss it for the world.
So today we wanted to talk about cartoons. Last week we did our inaugural Dragons and Doodles or Dungeons and Doodles?
Dungeons and Doodles.
It was Dungeons and Doodles.
Yep.
It was our first sketch doodle show, which seemed to go very well.
Yes. It was amazing.
Nothing caught fire except for a plunger. A toilet and many other things.
And Emmy Tangi was a last-minute sub-in.
For Adam Lee.
For Adam Lee, and she did great. And Stan and I were talking about it for like a few weeks before. So we were all prepared, but Emmy came in like cold, and everybody did great.
They did, and for folks that might have enjoyed it, we'll definitely be doing that again. I think we've got another one that we're tentatively looking to schedule in February. So the next Dungeons and Doodles will be taking place in early 2018.
Cool.
But on that note, one of the content pieces we've typically included in Dragon Plus, as well as Dragon Magazine back in the day, has been the comics and cartoon pages. So we wanted to take an opportunity to talk with Jason Thompson, who's been doing awesome cartoon work for not only the Dragon Plus recent issues, but for the D&D website and his own fine work. So for those who might not be familiar with some of Jason's older works, we were going to show a few things on the screen from your past projects with us. If memory serves, it was started way back with the Keep on 16th in Valencia.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you have those. Yeah, that was my my comic strip.
We do. So if we've got the tune_16th, we can show a sample of one of the cartoons. So. This was, oh no, that is one of the Tomb of the Tomb of Horrors map.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
That's amazing.
We'll show many of those as well. If we've got tune_16th, that'll be one of the first. Oh, sorry, we don't actually have that. Well, then this is the benefit of doing live. We'll just roll right through.
You'll have to imagine how great it was. So great. So good. So funny.
We have them all archived on the D&D website under the cartoon section, but let's roll through some of the cartoon maps as well. We had the 16th, Keep on 16th in Valencia. This was Jason Thompson. The St. Cuthbert's Troubled Youth Encounters group was the subject of the program for. The D&D Layer Assault program at the time was going on, and Jason, you were doing cartoons for each of the weekly episodes?
Yes, that's right. I was. Yeah, I remember Layer Assault. That was pretty fun. I was going to that at game stores, and I just had the idea for a strip about a bunch of troubled D&D players who have been it's kind of like reform school. They're all like they're all teenagers, and they're as part of to rehabilitate them into society, they're playing Dungeons and Dragons to learn teamwork skills and so on and so forth, and wacky hijinks ensue as they always do. So.
And from the Keep on 16th in Valencia, we ran the strip for a couple of months. We did Spider Killer in the spring of 2012. We did Kill the Wizard in the fall of 2012. We did Temple of the Sky God in that winter, rolling into 2013. And after the Keep on 16th of Valencia, I know we talked about doing some larger strips. That's where, there we go. There's the Keep on 16th in Valencia. From there, we moved into some of the cartoon maps, and we also did the Unearthed Arcana. When that came out in the special edition format, you had created cartoons for the Cavalier, the Barbarian, and the Acrobat. Oh, yeah, that was fun. Yeah. And that's when I started using the sort of stick figure style that I didn't use in 16th in Valencia, but yeah, it's just I've always liked drawing these really simple characters, and it just seemed to fit these strips for some reason. I was going to ask, how the development of your version of the meeples, I guess we would say, how those came about, because they're a little bit more than stick figure. They're so expressive, unto themselves. Well, I call them mockmen, like a mock turtle in Alice in Wonderland, and that mockman is it's my username on Twitter, and Mockman Press on Facebook. And actually, I had the idea for this particular word like when I was like 8 years old or something, really young. And so at the time, I actually couldn't draw human beings. I couldn't draw realistic people. I'm like, how do I fit all these fingers on the hand? It's impossible. So I just decided I'd stick with stick figures and call them mockmen. And it just kind of stuck. And even after I developed the ability to draw people, more or less, I don't know. I've always liked it. It's always kind of fun drawing something that's, just doing something that's sketchy and simple, and just being able to express just the basic gist of the idea. This is one of the behind-the-scenes discussions. Jason will often, as we've worked together, hand me the scripts and the sketches, and I always write out the funniest jokes, because I'm always like, well, try and tamp it from a PG-13 even to a PG. And I remember the Cavalier having many discussions about whether it looked too untoward to have the Cavalier in bed with his horse. So I think we negotiated well, they'll be in separate beds, but they'll just be two beds side by side. That's true. Yeah, but on the other hand,
the honeymooners.
Yes. Right. Yeah. But that made room for the milk and cookies, so ultimately it made it the best. Exactly. They're just good friends that share a bedroom, and that's all. It's just, maybe they're at a con. People, often have to share a bed at a con. There's nothing unusual about it. So that's a bit of the behind the scenes of things. Is Jason always brings the funny, and I always have to ratchet it down.
You ruin stuff, Bart.
I do. Bart ruined stuff would be a great. No, that is a podcast, right?
Bart ruins stuff? Is every podcast?
No, there's a podcast out there, so-and-so ruins things. But from Unearthed Arcana, I was also going to show one of the chromatic dragons. We've got the Jason_Dragon cartoon as well. So this was a series that you had also done with the Mockmen, going through each of the chromatic dragons in turn.
Oh, I love that one.
So this was formatted just for screen size, but for the full version of the cartoons, we'll get the links out either in the chat or afterwards. We'll get that up on Twitter, just so folks can find that. One of the things that I need to do is compile a page with all of these great cartoons on the D&D website, so folks can find them all in one easily navigable place. And from the Chromatic Dragons, just one more I wanted to. Oh, do we still have Jason on Skype?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we got some weird Skype boopity boops. but still there. And then we moved on to the some of the walkthrough maps. So if we've got any of the maps, but not Nyanzaru, we'll save that for the end. But so tell us a little bit about the awesome walkthrough maps, how those came together.
Well, it was basically inspired by those old, the old newspaper comic strip, The Family Circus, and periodically they would do instead of a regular gag strip, they would do like for a Sunday page where they have more space. They'd do kind of a map of the neighborhood or a map of like a store or something, and the little caption would be like, "Oh, adorable little Billy has gone to fetch, gone to buy milk from the store for his mom. But look at the path he takes. And instead of going straight to the store, he like wanders here and there, and he gets into all this trouble, and he like falls in the creek, or falls down a manhole and breaks his leg. I don't know." And so it's kind of this just wacky series of events and this very rambling path to the goal. So. If I remember correctly, I did the Tomb of Horrors map when those adventures were re-released as part of the hardback deluxe edition, which I can't remember the name of, but or was it Dungeons of Dread? I can't recall.
Yes, no, you're exactly right. It was Dungeons of Dread, and it was the S series of adventures were re-released in a nice hardback format. Probably a good 4 or 5 years ago at this point. And we talked about taking the maps in the book, the dungeon maps in the book, and telling a little story as a party of adventurers was working its way through the dungeon. So So we were showing some of the full maps on the screen now. The detail on these things is just awesome, though. So if you haven't had a chance, for viewers who haven't had a chance to take a look, again, we'll compile a page and put it on the D&D website that has them all put together. And zoom in, take a look around on these things, because there's awesome detail hidden throughout these things that are just phenomenal.
Like how long did Tomb of Horrors take you to do, Jason?
Well, Tomb of Horrors took me about, I believe, a week or maybe a week and a half.
Wow.
And actually, maybe 2 weeks. Actually, the truth is, Tomb of Horrors is by far the simplest of all of these maps, because it's a really small dungeon. I mean, it's just like the map itself is just one piece of paper. So it's just one level.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of like really complicated stuff to draw. It's pretty much just like an ancient tomb with some blocks of stone and some green slime, a couple undead. But it's mostly traps. So it's mostly like spikes and stone blocks and stuff. Whereas as I went on and started doing other ones like the Lost Caverns of Sajkant, where I thought those are like multiple level dungeons, and also they've got tons of creatures. Like I think the most crazy one I've done, and I don't know if you have the art for it up, was for Hall of the Fire Giant King, which was reprinted as in Yawning Portal, updated to 5th edition. Mm-hmm. And for that one, and for the other Giants ones, I made a vow that I would draw, if it said there was like 12 hill giants in a room, I would draw 12 hill giants. I wouldn't cheat the viewer out of any of their hill giants. I would, and in that particular dungeon, there's like rooms with like 40 gnolls or like 50 trolls and stuff. So that was actually that one was exciting to make.
We've got the hill giant one up on the screen right now. So again, this is just a thumbnail snapshot of a part of it. But this is I think we're looking at the Great Hall with the walls reduced. But it's one of those crazy dungeons where it's like, sure, 40 ogres could fit into this room.
Yeah, it's that classic old school game design where it's just like, the players were able to beat 8 orcs, but let's see how they handle 16 orcs, But also when I was drawing this, I realized like Gary Gygax is a sadist, because there's people like crowded into these insanely tight living conditions. It's like, there's 9 fire giants in like a 20-foot by 20-foot room. That's crazy. That's like 9 guys standing in a broom closet by giant scale. It's what are they doing there? It's really a lot.
Yeah, I think over the years there's definitely been a increased attention to making dungeons more of a realistic living space for the flora and fauna of the game world.
Maybe. Now I want us to have a room with just like 10 ogres and no moving space.
That's you open the door. They can't attack you because they can't fit through the door to actually get you.
The room where you do, sadly I'm not there in person, just as like a phantasmal force, but the room where you do the live stream is actually, it looks like a 10 by 10 square room, unless I'm mistaken.
Ooh, that is a fine question, and I don't think you're that far off. I want to say it's about a 10 by a 12-foot room.
Yeah.
Richard and I are going to lay down on the floor as about
measure him out. Yeah.
Right. How many approximately 6 foot tall people long is this room? And we'll get you the exact dimensions.
Do you want to draw this dungeon? It would be the easiest one you've ever done.
It could be really hard. Have you ever been to an escape room? I mean, it could take you hours to get out of the live stream room. All traps.
Well, as I've told Richard just before we went on, this is my most nerve-wracking hour of the week. So it's always an escape to get through a live hour of Dragon Plus without the flop sweats and everything else overtaking me. So.
And there's 2 kobolds in here with us that you guys can't even see. We do all the sound and video stuff.
So you mentioned briefly starting off as a kid, you were learning to draw people, and that was challenging enough. How did you get your start, just drawing and cartooning, and how did it develop into, from a pastime to a hobby to a career?
Well, I've done a lot of different things. Let's see. I actually I studied English in school, and I wanted to be a novelist or write. And I did do art on the side. And actually, after I graduated, I worked for a long time as an editor at Viz. And Viz is the Japanese comics publisher in San Francisco. So they publish translations of Japanese manga and anime. And so I kind of got into the comics industry through that. I'm a big fan of Japanese comics, and at the same time on the side, I got into self-publishing, and I did a couple of comics that way, and got turned into that scene, into indie comics. I did an H.P. Lovecraft comic, The Dream Quest of Unknown Kadat. And I just did that on the side while I was working, working on nights and weekends. And I always, I was working on other people's comics. I was editing comics, like Dragon Ball, the English translations and stuff. And I was always like, but I want to do my own stuff, right? So actually, I left Viz at a certain point, and I started looking for work doing illustrations and art. And I did a graphic novel series called King of RPGs for Del Rey, which is sort of it's a adventure humor comic about a boy's quest to become the greatest dungeon master on Earth. And so I've done a variety of different comic stuff. I've always been torn between my loves of games and comics. And I've always wanted to do things that combine them. Like with King of RPGs was I was like, I'm going to do a comic about gaming, and this is actually many years ago. So gaming, and particularly D&D, wasn't nearly as popular as it is now. So I even had the idea this will get comics fans into gaming, and and now nowadays, just 10 years after I was doing that, the gaming is so huge, and especially role playing, and as somebody who started playing D&D at 8 years old back in the 80s, it makes me so happy that it's so big now, and there's so many people are into it.
So speaking of gaming and cartooning, so mentioned last week we had our Dungeons and Doodles episode where we had three of our awesome artists in the studio doing some fine work, but I know that you're working on another project right now, Cartooner.
Yes, that's our game, which is on Kickstarter right now. And that's a project between me and my wife, Jemana, and and our friend Constantine. All of who's also in our D&D group. All three of us are in the same group, and I'm the DM. Cartooner is basically a tabletop game where you draw comics. Mm-hmm. It is it's like Pictionary for comics. It is a creative game where the players become comic artists, and over 4 rounds, your goal is to create a 4-page comic. And your actual goal is to get the most fame points and become the most famous artist, of course, because what else does an artist want? But the way you do this is that you have just 4 rounds of drawing, and each round you're timed, and you have X number of minutes to draw something on your panels. There's pre-printed panels on the pages. And you also have to fulfill your theme cards, which are like themes or things that you start with. Like they're essentially what drives you as an artist. Like you might be really into superheroes, alien invasions, and the desire for freedom. Right? Those can be your starting cards. But then as the game goes on, you also have to deal with trend cards, and trends are things which are more like genres and tropes, because then this is what the fans want, which is popular. Like maybe you're doing like a superhero comic, which is very heavy and dark, but suddenly funny animals become popular. And then what do you do? Do you compromise your vision and draw funny animals into your superhero comic? And these cards also have specific rules. Like the funny animals card rewards you for drawing an animal with clothes. It's an animal talking. And lastly, an animal with an alliterative name, like Donald Duck or Rocket Raccoon. And you get separate points for all of these. So it's not a judge game where you just judge like, oh, this person's art is best. They win every round, because obviously that would be really unfun for people that don't draw. We wanted to make a game where it's not about whose art is best, but just about like these, trying to get the craziness of trying to get a lot of stuff done in a short amount of time, and finding out what weird ideas come up, and we wanted to sort of gamify comics in a way that it wasn't just about like artists showing off.
Well, super cool.
Yeah, it sounds really cool.
Yeah, we'll have to. We'll definitely try it out around here, and maybe we'll play through a round of that in the next Dungeons and Doodles.
That sounds like a cool idea.
Yeah,
actually.
Yeah.
Well, we actually, Bart, I think you play or test the earlier version of Cartooner, which was Mangaka, the manga themed version of Cartooner.
Yes, and I realized just how bad of an artist I actually am.
But you can still be victorious. You just have to be cheap. You just have to be cheap and work the rules to your advantage, and you can crush the people who think they're good artists, because they'll just be busy drawing cross-hatching or something, or like define features of a face, and you just get in there with your stick figures and slam them.
Or I could just reach across and just start scribbling out what they're working on. But that might be gaming the system in a negative way. So
I don't think you can do that in real comics.
That's what I always do in D&D.
The DC editors don't raid the Marvel offices and just scribble paint all over and just destroy the work.
This is how it was in the old days.
Yeah. Those comic wars, they were bloody and brutal, man. There was no holds barred on that. I wanted to. We've got a couple more examples of your work that I know we wanted to showcase. This one was an older one, but it holds true very much. We've got Jason_Holidays as well. I feel like I'm going Christopher Walken in my voice now that we talked about it. I think
so. I think you sound a little bit.
So this one was from a couple of years ago. We put this up, I think, on the D&D website. And again, we'll put out the whole version here. But this was based on the old Monster Manual art piece in the back where their adventurers have finally found the treasure chest and have opened it up. Yeah. And you can't see it here, but it's got the multiverse planes of holidays in the background of all of the different holidays that we're celebrating. So.
Oh yeah.
So that's, I guess, my segue into just wishing everyone watching a happy holidays as well. Just a quick housekeeping note, as long as we're on this subject. We are concluding Dragon Plus live streaming for the year with this episode. So I will be off on vacation.
I'm on vacation.
Oh, right now?
Yep.
Oh, I didn't realize. Well, happy.
I'm only here for you, Bart, my best friend.
Aww. But for our viewers, we will be off through the remainder of the year. We'll be looking to do some vodcasting, and we'll be back January 9th or 10th, or whatever that the second Tuesday of the year is. January 9th. So for everyone who has been watching up until now, thank you for tuning in. Thank you very much for watching and subscribing and bearing with us as we get our feet for these first few weeks of the Dragon Plus live stream. But that sounds like I'm wrapping up the show, but I'm not. As mentioned, Jason has been doing awesome, fine work for Dragon Plus, for the online magazine, for the website for a long time now. We've got coming up in the next issue, not the issue 17 dropping December 18th, but in the February issue, where we're finally going to showcase the Port Nyanzaru. So if we've got the sketch where we'll do a sneak peek of, this is, again, super elaborate sketch of Port Nyanzaru from the Tomb of Annihilation. And we've got a very, as always, a very detailed and intricate look at the port cities. So we'll get that up in the February issue for folks to dive their eyeballs into and take a look at all the awesome details.
That's amazing, Jason.
Oh, thank you.
I had not seen that yet. That's incredible.
But we've got the final full colored version of that will be coming out in February. So and one more piece to showcase. If we've got, do we have the Priestess cover as well? Yes, so this one was from, correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, this was a RPG content piece that you had put up for the DM's Guild, is that correct?
Yes, it's still there. The Priestess is a variant cleric class, and they're like a cleric, but they're like a wizard, or they're like in that they have a focus, which is an idol, which is like a stone idol that they carry around. Mm-hmm. And as their power increases, they have to have a bigger and bigger idol. And because it's an idol, it has various area effects that focus around it. It's not like it can't really move like a familiar. But it can do various weird things, and basically it's like you're bonded to a magic item. So it's kind of like having a magic sword, or it's kind of almost a bit warlock-like in that way.
Cool,
nice.
And that is, but that art is actually about Constantine, and he's my friend, as I mentioned, my cool friend, and he did the art for Cartooner as well.
So art by the partner, but the RPG material by Jason Thompson and company.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Nice.
I think we took a look at that in a past issue of Dragon Plus, and it is, as mentioned, still available at the DM's Guild. So for folks looking for additional class material, take a look for the Priestess. So, Jason, before we let you go, any plans for the holidays? Any special holiday traditions that you will be indulging in? More cartooning for the holiday season?
Well, I'm balancing all my. When am I going to get the holidays? I have no idea, because I'm kind of balancing my storyboarding work and the next exciting Dungeons and Dragons drawing that I'm working on, and also I have a D&D game on Wednesday, and the players have actually split into two groups. One group has become pirates because they're more evil, and they're off doing evil stuff. And one group is still trying to stop Tiamat from rising. So now somehow it's working out, and now it's pirate group's turn to go kick some butt, and we'll see how that goes.
Well, super cool, and thank you so much for taking the time to join our humble little live stream today in the D&D D20 studios. So for folks that are interested in more of Jason's work, as mentioned, we'll compile a page of some of the D&D cartoons on the D&D website. We'll get that up in the days ahead. You can always find his cartoon maps in Dragon Plus. In the February issue, we'll look to get the Portnai and Zaru cartoon map out, and look for his game Cartooner on Kickstarter.
And I'm Mockman, Mockman, on Twitter, and also that's my URL.
All right. Well, thank you so much. So we're going to hang up from the Skype call, but Richard is going to hang out in the studio for a bit longer, and we're going to talk some of his work as well.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bart. Thank you, Richard.
Yeah, nice meeting you.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you too. You rule.
And we would love the next time you're in Seattle, come into the studios and let's do some drawing live.
Oh, that would be great. All right,
Yeah.
you guys. Thanks a whole bunch. It was so nice to talk to you.
As
Take
always,
care.
Jason.
Bye.
Bye.
So I'm going to look to Pelham to tell me if I'm incorrect. We are off our Skype call, so I don't know that we need our fancy pants headphones anymore.
Woo.
We have our headphone head.
That felt weird.
Yes.
Oh.
And
Popped my microphone.
uh-oh, the microphone came off. So again, that was Jason Thompson, but we wanted to keep Richard Whitters in the studio to talk through a few more of your projects, past and present as well.
Yes. Yes, we did.
Quick microphone tech check. Are we all good from the board? All right,
Still hear
we're
me?
sounding good. So.
Sorry about that. Please invite me back.
So Richard, one of the things, and because I'm a horrible best friend and a neglectful person,
Yes.
we had you on a couple weeks ago because we were going to talk through some of the art pieces that you had created for Xanathar's Guide to Everything.
Yes.
While we put those up, what were the pieces that you made for Xanathar's Guide?
I didn't have a lot on that one because we had a bunch of other projects going on at that time. Excuse me. I'm just. When I did the first podcast, I had a cold.
Yes.
And now for the leaving at Christmas, I'm getting a cold again.
It's life is cyclical.
Yeah.
So and we're showcasing.
Oh yes. So these were the brainstorm of Jeremy Cranford, or Jeremy Crawford.
Crawford.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Jeremy Cranford used to work here. He was an art director at Magic. Jeremy Crawford.
So we're looking at page 86 and 87. You can find some of the templates and token illustrations that we're looking at on screen now. So these are the areas of effects on a grid.
Yes, and it was I thought it was a really clever idea because you can actually, lay out what the area effect is and see what it touches and who's it's going to hit. So it was really neat. Jeremy and I talked about it, and for reference, Jeremy actually set the dice on a little grid and sort of took photos.
Yeah.
And then I kind of built an isometric grid and sort of put them in there. So I thought it was kind of neat, and we're trying to keep that same neat little style that we've kind of used in the other books.
And some of them are, these are little gnomes that are pushing the dice together.
He's all little gnomes. He's like a little taller than a D6. Yeah.
I guess that's the size for dice gnome would be D6 would be medium.
Exactly.
We asked Jason where he got his start. Have we ever talked about your start in the art world? How you first picked up a pencil and what you first started drawing way back in the day?
I think the whole thing's kind of probably long and like one of Jason's
walkthrough maps.
Starting here, though, starting at Wizards, I was hired by Jeremy Jarvis, and he apparently had found some of my work. At some point, I'd sent it into Art Drop.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime anybody's asking us, like, how do you get work at Wizards and all that kind of stuff, there's a art drop at wizards.com,
mm-hmm.
and you can just send art in there. So I'd sent stuff into there. I think Jeremy had kept my stuff on his desktop for a year or more. So again, anybody out there who sent things in and they're like, I won't hear back, and it's like
Takes a while.
Yeah,
it can take a while.
You won't necessarily hear back, but eventually on Magic, a concept artist position opened up.
Mm-hmm.
So myself and a bunch of other people, like Jeremy, pinged me to see if I was interested, and a bunch of other people. I think the total starting was somewhere around 300 people that were kind of applying or whatever. But we did a 24-hour pencil test, which is a bunch of concepts. Like basically everyone who Jeremy had narrowed it down to got an email with a bunch of written concepts.
Yeah.
And then you had 24 hours to draw as much as possible.
I like the idea where it is 24 consecutive hours of drawing.
Yeah.
And you have to draw until you drop your pencil.
Yeah.
And the last one drawing is...
And at the time, I was on the east coast of Canada. So I think I got the email at like 10 o'clock in the evening or something. So I'm like, okay.
So you can't go to
all
sleep,
night.
wake up and do it? You got to keep going all night to...
Yep. It was an all-nighter. So anyway, out of that, Jeremy hired me for that. And as concept artist on Magic for years, where we also set up concept pushes where we bring artists in and we work on a new set and all that kind of stuff. And I took it started out as like a sabbatical over to D&D. And I realized that I've always loved D&D.
Yeah.
So I ended up, Sam Burley took over what I was doing, and I kind of handed the ball to him on Magic, and moved over to D&D, and then
the rest is
started
history.
like making stuff here.
What if we went back even further? When you were a kid, a wee youngin', do you remember first trying your hand at drawing stuff and monsters and whatnot? Or?
There's a bunch of things. I remember trying to draw Superman from Superman comics.
Yeah.
I drew a really extensive long comic called Rocket Ranger 13 that was silly. And I remember too, my dad always liked to doodle stuff, or if he had something to explain to you, he'd doodle it.
Yeah.
And my uncle too. And my uncle owned a printing company, so he was always giving me like paper and stuff. He's like, oh, try out this paper.
Ah.
So that was very cool.
It's good to get your hands on the good materials. That always is helpful.
Yep. Yep.
So
It's fun.
before Xanathar's Guide and the tokens and the dice,
Yeah.
you had created some of the condition effect illustrations for the player's handbook.
Yes.
So if we've got those, Pelham, we're going to go through them slowly. And so stop right there. We're going to see if you can name the condition as we go through the illustrations.
Blinded.
Correct.
And poorly drawn.
I don't know if poorly drawn is a condition, but all right. So we'll cycle through these and test your knowledge of the condition.
Oh, charmed.
Yeah, correct.
Definitely charmed. Deafened.
Yes, I like that idea. It's just, huh?
Wah. Fear, or afraid, or what's it called?
You are in the ballpark, of course.
What's the
Frightened.
frightened?
Yes.
Frightened.
Pooping. The condition is pooping your pants.
Yes. Grappled,
Yes.
I think. What if I fail this test? Invisible.
I love that one. Like,
Or,
well, you gotta show. How do you show invisible? Well, there's footprints in the snow.
Maybe you dropped pancakes on there. Dropping of pancakes.
All right, we've got a few more.
Paralyzed.
Here. Yes, that's your ghoul dragging you off to do a horrible Christmas dinner with you.
Yeah. Petrified.
Yes, that is.
I'm doing okay at this.
You're doing
game.
great. I shouldn't have tipped you off.
You were trying to.
I wanted.
right.
If only I could have slipped in one that a non sequitur just to see.
Hungover.
You're
Poisoned.
Yes, I was going
Yeah.
to say you're in the area.
Things we channel. Prone.
Yes. So again, these are the conditions from the player's handbook that Richard created.
Restrained?
Yes. And I think we've got 2 more.
Stunned.
Yes.
Unconscious.
Yeah, very good.
Okay, it took me a second.
All right.
I was going to say fireballed.
I think, did we get through them all? I think we got through them all. So yes.
Is that it?
You've passed the test.
Yeah.
You might have had the 24-hour pencil test, but now you've passed the
This is the D&D
the
test.
D&D conditions test. So yeah, just a quick little example of some of your work as well. And again, I had mentioned that we have Jason Thompson's next cartoon map. We're looking to get that in the February issue, but for the December issue, we have a few special cartoons as well.
Yes.
So in the December issue of Dragon Plus, we're going to have that out on no later than Monday, December 18th. We're pushing hard for Thursday, December 14th, but it's going through galley reviews as we speak. As we release the December issue of Dragon Plus, we will also put out the Dungeons and Doodles cartoons that we created.
Cool.
We've got those in a nice PDF file for everyone to enjoy. And Richard, you had your own cartoon project for this issue of Dragon Plus.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
what was that?
All right. It started with me illustrating the Zvarts for, wait, now which book was that? Was that Volos?
Volo's Guide.
That was in Volos.
Yes.
See, where I was like a year to year and a half out, and it's all code names.
If
and stuff.
I'm wrong, the chat
Yep.
will immediately correct me.
Yes. so I did 2 little Zvarts for Volos.
There they are.
Yeah.
Zvart 1 and Zvart 2.
And they were really fun to just play with. And I ended up I was chatting. There's a thing we do here where Chris Perkins and myself and Adam and sometimes Sean Wood too, our concept artist. We'll just go down and get tea, and we were like tea like this tea. And we were just chatting and stuff, and I went home one night and I just thought, I'm going to make Zvart versions of Adam and Chris and Sean. So they were the first ones that I did. And then it eventually came along, I think then I did one a little while ago for Chris Lindsay's birthday.
If you've seen Chris Lindsay on his Twitter account, I believe his thumbnail picture now is
it's
his Zvart.
it's at least has been. It has been his thumbnail. So I did Chris, and all of them we just got like such a laugh out of.
Yeah.
And then eventually said for Dragon Plus, well, let's do the whole team. And all I do is start with that base Zvart.
There we go. And there's we're looking at the
There's the whole D&D team. So it was pretty neat because I was trying to just capture everybody, which is a little tricky, unless you have like a crazy beard like Pelham, or a little baby Zvart like Heather.
So again, we'll showcase the whole Zvart art gallery in Dragon Plus coming out on the 18th. This is the D&D team is all Zvarted up or
They're all
Zvartified?
Zvarted. Yes.
I don't know what the proper verb is. I don't know what the condition for Zvart would be.
I don't know. We'll have to make a new one. So, and the next project for all of next year is to make Zvarts of every one of our fans.
That might take a while. But,
They take 15 minutes each.
we had a question. Was Matt Cernick partial to Demigorgon with the 2 heads? How did that come about?
Okay, so Matt has a thing where he'll grow like a good-sized beard.
Yes, in a day.
Yeah, it seems like overnight.
Yeah.
And then you'll come in the next day, and then he's 15. He's like completely shaven, and he looks like, there's like a handsome dude under there, kind of.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, I got to do bearded Matt and not bearded Matt. But he's like a Demogorgon kind
And
of.
if I saw correctly, Kate Irwin has her puppy dogs.
She has 2 Japanese chins.
Oh, and are they related to Winston?
Yes.
Aw.
My dog is Kate's.
Oh,
One of
there's
Kate's
Kate right
dogs
there.
is my little brother. Where's my dog's little brother?
This was the secret episode of Dragon Plus that we're planning to do next year, which our facilities team doesn't know about, is the animals of Wizards of the Coast, and seeing if we can bring in Winston and Kate's puppies and all of the other puppies and Chris Perkins' dog, and see if we can sneak them into the building and get them in the live stream here without them peeing all over the carpet. But
no, they won't. They're fine. We can put little diapers on them.
So that was Kate. I think we also have a couple of more before and after pictures. You came around the office asking to take photos of various people. We didn't know why, but here's Mr. Mike Merles.
Mike's got his little set of dice there. Little dice hanging from his side there. Yeah. Shelley.
Shelley Mazanoble.
Shelley demanded that she have a
Badger?
her badger. Yeah. She's like, I need to have my badger and I want to have an axe.
I didn't know she had a Badger hat. Things I don't know.
Well, it had
I don't know what that means. I'm a University of Wisconsin graduate. Our mascot is the Badgers.
She wanted to be a badger.
Doesn't bode well here. The Berserker Act. And we've got,
this one I'm proud of because that's exactly you, Bart. That's exactly. I was going to change your photo to make you look kind of bluish so that you could see just how exact.
How Svarty I look.
It's pretty exacting.
Yeah. You've got the hatchet-faced look down pat, I would say, for myself.
Yeah. That's that Bart stare.
Oh my! All right, so yes, for the upcoming issue of Dragon Plus, we've got the awesome holidays of art cartoons as well from the D&D team. So I'll ask you the same question. You're here, you're on the holiday, but holiday family traditions you're going to be partaking in, things that you like to get done when you're out of the office and not on a live stream.
I was going to fly home. But like I said, I was feeling this cold coming on, so I'm postponing my trip home. So this year, it's just hanging out with my puppy and taking it easy.
Oh,
yeah.
Sounds like a good.
I'm going to relax, and I'll draw a bunch of stuff.
And binge watch any particular shows? Always a new holiday tradition in my house.
There's a few things. There's Jeremy Jarvis will be over, and we'll watch, Ghost Hunter type shows.
All right.
Just to laugh.
So as mentioned, as we're getting close, we're coming somewhat to the top of the hour. But I did want to make sure that we had some time to say happy holidays again to everyone who's been watching the live stream over the past couple of weeks. As a thank you. We wanted to do. We'll do a couple of two quick raffles here. Okay. Are you running?
Are you raffling with the chat?
Yes.
Sweet.
Am I raffling or is?
Oh, do you want our special guest now?
Our third special guest of the.
I have to lean off camera. This is special effects happening.
So Pelham, we'll do two, one for regular and one for alt here. So
this is Sock Tyler.
Oh boy.
This is our sock version of Tyler Jacobson.
And how did Sock Tyler Jacobson make his way into the world?
Tyler Jacobson always, for the past long while, lived downstairs from me. And then he got a big fancy job at Valve.
Ooh. I've heard of them.
And he moved away from me.
Valve does
this is Tyler's replacement.
So
this is Sock Tyler.
Sock Tyler.
But anyway, I'm going to take him off, though, because he's going to get hot in my hand.
Okay.
But Sock Tyler is on Twitter if you want to, and he will answer art and D&D and sock questions.
So our first raffle, I've got a copy of Xanathar's Guide to Everything. So for folks that are entering the raffle, we'll have 2 chances. We've got 2 books to give away. So we've got a Xanathar's Guide to Everything. We'll raffle that off pretty quickly. A couple more notes and housekeeping. Again, the Dragon Plus live stream. This is our last show of the year, but thank you so much for watching. We started the year, I think we've said this internally a lot, we've started the year on the D&D Twitch channel with 1 show. With Dice Camera Action, and it continues to be a great, awesome show, and we wanted to do even more on our Twitch channel. So this past summer we had our Stream of Annihilation, brought in some awesome live stream guests and participants, and kicked off our channel in earnest. At one point, we were either streaming or hosting over 50 hours a week of content on the D&D Twitch channel, which was an awful lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
But we hope that you're enjoying what we're putting together. And for folks that are running the games, for Lauren Urban and for Chris Lindsay, for Chris Perkins, for Maze Arcana, for everyone who's been running the games, thank you so much for everything you've been doing this past year to help showcase Dungeons & Dragons in the best possible way, and for a super awesome live audience. So I hope the folks are tuning in to their shows, and if anything is missed, there's always the video archive, and of course we'll be doing some vodcasting over the holiday week as well. So let's close up the first raffle, and we'll pick our first winner. We'll wait for. Okay, we've got our first winner picked. So we will be contacting you in the whisper mode of our chat functionality.
Oh. I was going to say while we were on.
Yes.
Somebody had tweeted me earlier about art stuff on podcasts and things like that.
Yes.
And I mentioned to them that I believe it's in the plan that we do more talking about the art and stuff like that.
It is. So as long as I've got a couple of minutes, and again, the second raffle just opened up. I always glance to the left to get the thumbs up from Pelham. So the second raffle is open. This one we've got a alt cover version of Xanathar's Guide to Everything. So enter exclamation raffle for your chance to win an alt cover version of Xanathar's Guide to Everything. Slightly handled by myself, but otherwise completely new.
Is it all signed?
And no, Richard. It is not signed, but we'll try and get some signatures.
We'll draw something in there.
But yes, so to kind of talk just for a quick minute about the idea for Dragon Plus, this live stream. In part, it was to help connect with Dragon Plus, our online magazine. And this is, my marketing spiel available on iOS and Android and at dragonmag.com. So to kind of help showcase the content that we're working on each issue, and to use this format to kind of be able to talk through it with the artists who are contributing, to the writers who are contributing, to give a little preview of the content. And very quickly it became apparent that it's a lot of fun to experiment on this show. Yep. We've got a format that lends itself well to visuals. And so part of the content that we wanted to pull out of Dragon Magazine and Dragon Plus was some of the preview material. We started with Tomb of Annihilation, Xanathar's Guide, showing the art, showing the concept art. Yep. I'm struggling to say, we don't make enough use of it, and I wish we did, and so putting it in Dragon Plus and showing it on this live stream is very much in our future planning. It's great to be able to showcase the awesome art that goes into the book, that goes into the concepting of the book. Being able to talk through it with yourself and the other artists is has been a real pleasure for this past year. And then other art aspects, talking to Jason Thompson with the cartooning today. It's great to be able to show it on the screen so folks can see what we're talking about and talk to the artist itself.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then Stan and yourself had been planning the Dungeons and Doodles episode for months.
Yes.
We didn't know how and when we would pull it together, but we finally managed to kick it off. It worked great. We hope everyone enjoyed watching it.
And we have other people for that too. Like Sean Wood can come on and draw with us, and Adam Lee. And Adam Lee is one of our writers, but he used to do greeting card illustration and writing as well.
Oh.
He's an awesome cartoonist. And who knows who else we could get in to doodle with us.
Oops, sorry. That is my. Oop.
Did we do something wrong? Is someone phoning to?
No, unfortunately, it's the daycare call. The little Quinn man was on the cusp of illness, and so it looks like he's finally tipped over into the realm of vomiting.
No.
So immediately after the show, you'll see me run off to daycare to pick up a sick kid. So yes, taking advantage of the Dragon Plus live stream to do more art presentations and showcasing the art is something we're interested in continuing.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
The Doodle Show, very much interested in continuing. So why don't we'll close up this second raffle as well, and we'll get a winner for Xanathar's Guide to Everything Alt Cover. So again, as we come to the top of the hour, I'll give my final happy holidays to everyone who has been tuning in to Dragon Plus for these past few months. Thank you, everyone, for watching and subscribing. Thank you, everyone who has subscribed to the Dragon Plus app. It's free, available on iOS and Android, and on your browser at dragonmag.com. Next issue coming out December 18th, and we will be returning on January 9th to the show. Personal note, a happy birthday to retired Colonel Carroll, BJ Carroll, my dad, dear old dad at home, who needs some holiday cheer. We mentioned before the show he's in bad health, but happy birthday to my dear dad. So love you very much, and see you soon for the holidays. So do we have our second winner for? We do. We have our second winner for Xanathar's Guide to Everything.
Cool stuff.
Not to something or nothing. To everything.
This one's to nothing.
So again, we'll wrap up here. We've got D&D news coming up at 3:30. We've got Dice Camera action will be coming up at 4 o'clock, 4 to 6 p.m. always Pacific time. So stay tuned for those continuing great and glorious live streams. Richard, a personal thanks for being on this live stream on more than one occasion and for rounding out the year with us. So thank you
welcome.
very much.
Now I got to go wash my hand. I have a dirty old sock on it.
Yes, thank you, Sock Tyler.
I look forward to doing more next year.
Participating.
It'll be fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So to everyone still watching, happy holidays, and we'll see you next year.